Yay! Another motivational, aesthetically pleasing syndrome TikTok trend.
Lucky girl syndrome. Everyone's talking about it.
Are we surprised? No.
It's all coming together for me because my life is supposed to go well and things are supposed to be good for me and life is supposed to be fun and I am supposed to feel ease and things are supposed to work out for me and things are working out for me.
Another trend that promises to completely change your life.
Okay, stop whatever you're doing and listen to what I'm about to say because this is gonna change your life.
Is what I thought when I was just doing what one does, scrolling on TikTok, and came across the lucky girl syndrome trend.
Try this as an affirmation and watch your entire life change.
On the surface, it definitely struck me as yet another self-help, unrealistic content cash farm.
Things are always working out for me no matter how it looks at any point in time. Things are always working out for me no matter how it looks at any given point in time. Things are always working out for me.
But when I actually did a little bit more research, I came to realize that there is a real reason as to why people are so hell-bent on using this method to change their mindset.
So if you wake up and you're like, God, I'm so tired. Oh, this day's gonna suck. Then it's like, bam, thank you. I will filter all the information that comes into your brain for ways, times, events that actually suck and promote the fact that you are tired. But if you tell it something like, I'm lucky, I'm peaceful, it will start to look for that in your brain because that is what you have told it.
Even with this being the case, like with anything, especially on TikTok, there's a very odd pipeline of this type of lucky girl content that I think could be more harmful than good. Hi guys, welcome back to Boss Girlified. I am Tima. So recently I made a new TikTok account for my clothing, which by the way, go check it out. And of course, with a new TikTok account comes a brand new For You page. This time I ended up on the lucky girl manifestation pink Pilates princess side of TikTok. It started with a couple of mantras here and there.
Things are always working out for me no matter how it looks at any point in time. Things are always working out for me no matter how it looks at any given point in time. Things are always working out for me. No matter how it looks, they just are. They just are. And if you don't know that, you need to know.
With some aesthetically pleasing clips. And then, of course, the critics of this lucky girl syndrome.
This trend is so toxic, we need to talk about it.
Go watch that entire video. There's a whole new generation of kids on here getting indoctrinated into new age toxic spirituality. I grew up in Northern California. This shit has just been recycled over the ages a million times. The Secret, A Course in Miracles, all the way back to the turn of the century when New Age kind of began. Allie's absolutely right that it has racist, ableist, eugenicist roots.
The best explanation I have found that represents elements of lucky girl syndrome is that lucky girl syndrome is changing your mindset from the woe is me, everything goes wrong in my life, nothing will ever work out for me mindset, to the I am a lucky girl. Everything I want comes to me. I receive what I want from this life and everything works out the way it's supposed to.
Lola thinks everyone should just shut up and do the hard work because lucky girl syndrome isn't practical. So when life goes sideways, which is normal, and things don't work out, Lola blames it on external things. This then decreases her confidence. So because Lola isn't actively affirming that her dreams are possible just from her believing in them, she is then stuck in the reality trap. Her whole mindset is hard work equals results and that is it. Because she's stuck in the reality trap and she cannot see past her own circumstances, she doesn't believe that being a millionaire is possible for her. When you don't believe everything is easy, it won't be easy. Let's go over to Athena. Athena practices lucky girl syndrome every day. Now, she's not a manifestation expert. She's just trying to have a positive mindset and go after her goals without questioning if it's actually realistic or possible for her. She's just gonna go do it and hope for the best. Because she's using this approach to go and get her goals, her self-doubt is now decreased. And because she's decided to practice lucky girl syndrome every day, now she thinks I had really good luck. And because of that, now she has higher confidence in her success rate in achieving her goals. Therefore, she's now more inclined to chase the opportunities that don't make that much sense right now.
And this is largely an effort to gain more wealth, abundance, and lead a happier life. In other words, manifestation, the act of making your dream and bringing it into physical form. Some professionals have actually stepped in to explain how and why the law of assumption and physical manifestation in relation to lucky girl syndrome actually work.
I'm going to go ahead and give you the neuroscience behind why lucky girl syndrome actually works. I'm a life coach, and this is something I teach to all my clients. So there's a place in the back of your brain called your reticular activating system. We call it the RAS for short. And its job is to sort all the information that comes into your brain. About 11 million pieces of information come into your brain every moment, and you can process about 26 pieces of information in any moment. So there's a lot that gets filtered out. And your RAS, the part that filters that, starts working the second you wake up in the morning. And it's asking what it is that you want to focus on. What is it you want to look for in that day? So if you wake up and you're like, God, I'm so tired. This day's going to suck. Then it's like, bam, thank you. I will filter all the information that comes into your brain for ways, times, events that actually suck and promote the fact that you are tired. But if you tell it something like, I'm lucky, I'm peaceful, it will start to look for that in your brain because that is what you have told it is important to you. Just make sure that you say it in the positive. You don't say, I don't want to be, because the brain doesn't understand the negative. It only understands the positive. And if you do this day after day after day with the same thing, eventually you don't even need to do this as much because your brain already knows, oh, when I become conscious, that's what I want to think about. That's what I want to look for. This is also why it works when you are thinking about buying a red car and suddenly you see red cars everywhere. It's the reticular activating system in the back of your brain. So lucky girl syndrome actually has something to it.
And in psychology, as a psychology student myself, this is a phenomenon we like to call confirmation bias. Basically, our tendency to focus on whatever confirms our beliefs. By no means is this a new concept at all. I would say its roots in the West started from The Secret, but also globally, this is not a new concept, as the same type of ideas are found throughout different cultures and religions all throughout history.
So the concept of mind over matter, I'm not getting now into whether you can bend a spoon if you think about it strong enough, or how minds can actually change physical realities. I don't know, that's another other discussion of supranormal or whatever they call it, paranormal activity and so on. I'm talking about something that each of us can exercise in our personal lives. It is when you think and are able to think good, and that's an expression for one of the Hasidic masters. Think good, it will be good. It has an effect on your very brain, your neurons. The way they put it there was in, what the bleep do we know? As your neurons are fired, that's how they get wired. So first it has a physical effect on your neurons. They then become wired a certain way. They in turn, as we know, the neurons in your mind affect the rest of you. So what's flowing from you is this positive approach. So besides being more innovative and more creative in finding solutions, your whole being is just geared up towards success.
So manifestation is a Western concept first mentioned in William Walker Atkinson's 1906 book, Thought Vibration, or The Law of Attraction in the Thought World. I personally have not read this. I'm not too well versed on the book. Closest relative of what would later go on to become lucky girl syndrome would be the law of assumption. Basically assuming that whatever you want your reality to be is already your reality. When I was first introduced to lucky girl syndrome on TikTok, I was seeing a lot of mantras and short dopamine fixes of content. It gave me a very baseline surface level explanation of what lucky girl syndrome was. It gave off the aura of definitely being about wanting to make more money, get more accolades, or just become more successful in life. People I know personally were raving about how this mindset has absolutely changed their lives. So I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit skeptical about this self-help, topic, issue. I was like, you know what? Let me give it another shot. I'll do a little bit more research and see what this is all about. So what I came to the realization upon doing more research was that I don't think this concept, or any concept really that comes out of TikTok, is being explained thoroughly enough. And this is somewhat the downside of short form content, as it comes with a lot of promises and dopamine without much context and explanation. So, for example, someone could hop on TikTok and say, oh my gosh, guys, literally I have been implementing this new mantra in my life, which is everything works out for me in my favor, and my life has changed. Literally yesterday, I got a brand new PS5. Whatever. I don't know if there's other elements that goes into that too. They could have had a good upbringing. They could have had so many other factors that have contributed to them being able to reside in this type of lucky girl mindset. Upon my research, I came to the realization that I think it's a very good idea that was being packaged selfishly. Even still, I started implementing elements of this lucky girl syndrome. So whenever I would catch myself in the mindset of, oh my goodness, something is gonna go wrong, because that's how I tend to think sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, I would redirect myself and think, wait a minute, but everything is fine and everything works how it's supposed to. Not necessarily everything works for me, but everything works the way it's supposed to. And honestly, guys, I'm not kidding. I was pretty down on myself for the past couple days, because I'm definitely a person who, if I feel like I failed at something, even if I didn't necessarily, even if I did everything I was supposed to, I will still blame myself and I will still be like, no, bitch, you could have done better. So, I was definitely in a little bit of a funk, if you will, because I hadn't sold anything on my Depop shop, which, by the way, go check it out now. Yesterday, I started implementing this. You know what? Everything's fine. Everything works out the way it's supposed to. And I started moving and operating with that type of mindset. And guys, today I got my first sale in 2 weeks. I mean, I've had the Depop shop set up before, but I definitely have been taking more steps towards elevating my businesses and elevating my YouTube channel, like this video, and doing things that, before I would have probably doubted myself before even doing it, thinking, oh, nothing ever works out for me. But now that I was operating in this mindset of, no, don't stress about anything, because at the end of the day, it's going to work out the way it's supposed to. So I will not lie. I love that element of this lucky girl syndrome. However, there's a very good reason why it can be difficult to take a lot of these self-help mantras seriously. And I think that with anything, situations vary dramatically. And you should take away from every lesson, trend, if you will, mantra, belief, system, what is applicable to you, and leave whatever isn't. I personally believe that there's no single religion, belief, anything that has it all right 100%. But I do think that we should all take from all types of different religions, beliefs, and take what we can and use that to lead a somewhat happy life. Happiness and comfort. I mean, I don't even know if happiness, okay, I'm getting too philosophical here, but just lead a life that is not miserable, at least. Let's revisit one of the critics of this lucky girl syndrome from earlier in the video. She's stitching another creator's video, talking about how toxic the lucky girl syndrome is. She emphasizes the point that the former creator made, that these type of beliefs and thought processes have roots in racist, eugenic, and classist ideologies.
This trend is so toxic, we need to talk about it.
Go watch that entire video. There's a whole new generation of kids on here getting indoctrinated into new age toxic spirituality. I grew up in Northern California. This shit has just been recycled over the ages a million times. The Secret, A Course in Miracles, all the way back to the turn of the century when New Age kind of began. Allie's absolutely right that it has racist, ableist, eugenicist roots.
She argues that this path of thinking leads to more dangerous ideas, like we all chose our destiny before we came to be.
Once you've seen where this stuff leads, you can't unsee it. This whole lucky girl syndrome thing is going to feed people right into law of assumption, law of attraction, aka think positively at all times, otherwise everything's your fault. And this pipelines to even worse ideas like you chose your destiny on earth before you were born.
Again, for those specific beliefs, if you're new to the channel, first of all, I am not the type of person to question people's beliefs. I'm not the one to debate the politics of beliefs, because people believe the way they do, and it's very, very difficult to generalize belief systems. So I just believe in what I believe in, and I allow others to as well. It is a core principle of Islam, which I'm a Muslim, so assalamu alaikum, my brothers and sisters. Also, happy early Ramadan. It's probably already Ramadan by the time I'm uploading this video, so yeah, Ramadan Mubarak. She explains that this type of thinking and ideology, when it comes to victims of trauma, could be especially harmful, which, ding, 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 I agree.
Like, excuse me, do you realize how telling that to trauma survivors is incredibly toxic? And the thing about these mindsets that is so incredibly harmful is that it's like navel-gazing, completely myopic, self-centered, individualistic type of spirituality. It does not consider community, doesn't even really mention it ever.
She says we should also always look at trends a little bit sideways when they have a heavy emphasis on capitalistic and individualistic ideologies.
There are cults and communities that are built on this toxic individualism type of mindset, but their downfall is always going to be the narcissism that is inherent to this type of ideology. And of course, this type of New Age individualistic thinking ties right into capitalism perfectly, because capitalism wants us individual consumers, not communities that are reliant on each other and creating their own resources. They want everyone to buy a lawnmower, not to have a communal lawnmower. You know what I'm saying? This is why these kinds of core New Age beliefs are actually very colonized, very exploitative. And it's the same thing with prosperity gospel in the Christian world. It's the same picture. And sadly, so many ex-evangelical type people, when they're searching around for something different, fall into this pipeline of New Age spirituality that goes like alt-right at sometimes. You start getting into talking about sacred feminine and masculine, and suddenly there's anti-trans beliefs getting shoehorned in there. This is one of the latest brainworms obsessions of New Age. I'm not exactly sure why, but we should be questioning anytime spirituality is going with the grain of capitalism and oppression.
Although she does agree that we should all be implementing positive thinking in our own lives, she emphasizes the point that the universe is never going to be giving us all of the greatest fruits ever. Even when the universe does give us fruit, it comes with something else too.
Make no mistake that Lucky Girl Syndrome, just at its core, even without the New Age stuff, is just narcissism. Somebody loses their rent money on the ground and you end up finding it, you're like, wow, I'm so lucky. But your lucky day came at the expense of someone else. And if you have that thought that this is just the universe giving you gifts, you won't turn that into lost and found or try to find who it belonged to. Or maybe it has to do with more subtle privilege-based things. Maybe you're a white person who got the job and a person of color didn't. Wow, I'm so lucky. Yeah, luck. That's what we're calling it now. Anyway, there's obviously a place for positive thinking in our lives. I don't want to hear about it in the comments. I'm talking about this specific narcissistic, the secret law of attraction, law of assumption kind of spirituality.
I personally believe that the universe is like yin and yang. There has to be dark to balance out the light. There has to be something bad to have a good outcome, and there has to be something good to have a bad outcome. And, you know, call that what you will. A lot of the people who believe in this Lucky Girl Syndrome heavily would argue that that's exactly what the point of the Lucky Girl Syndrome is trying to avoid. But I think it is a realistic way of thinking, and it's also a ideology that is found also again in many religions and beliefs, and that's not for no reason, I don't think, at least. Everything in life is balanced, and it's kind of unrealistic to expect that you will receive all of the good in this life without any bad. And again, good and bad are subjective terms, of course. I do think that Lucky Girl Syndrome is trying to do something good. I don't think that they're trying to really do anything like super scammy, sketchy, or weird. At least most people. Obviously, there's going to be those couple infiltrators who are going to do that. However, I think that they're also neglecting the complete flip side of this whole ideology, which is, again, you know, things like child psychology in relation to trauma, and that indeed the universe, surprise, surprise, doesn't revolve around us. The universe was created first, and then within that universe, whatever other beings Allah decided to create were created, and we are included in that. So that being said, I just don't think that the universe necessarily revolves around us as individual people, but I do think that as a collective, that's a different conversation. When we look at child psychology, the way we were spoken to as children builds up the foundation of people's entire thought processes for the entire rest of their lives. Of course, this is a plus for people who were raised in environments where they were fed positive affirmations. And I'm saying this as one of those kids, having a mother who spoke positivity into me and really pushed me to push my goals, to pursue my goals. I put a lot of emphasis on that before I applaud myself for my accomplishments, even though it is very good to applaud yourself for your accomplishments, because the opposite end of that is imposter syndrome and you think you don't deserve anything. So you should definitely give yourself credit where it's due. However, I also do recognize that my mother feeding these positive affirmations into me ingrained a confidence in myself that I would have not had, or would have been completely destroyed and shattered if I was in a completely different environment. And this is also coming from a psychologist, studying psychologist. I just like to say I'm a psychologist. It is easier for kids who have had positive affirmations ingrained in their heads while their brains were still developing to later on transition to or already have the lucky girl syndrome type of thinking. However, naturally, it's going to be hard for those kids who have had negative affirmations ingrained in their heads, again, while their brains were developing, to then later on in life have this positive, lucky, everything just happens to work out for me mindset. Of course, I think it's very important to emphasize that we should all be actively trying to have positive thinking in our lives. Positive psychology is literally a real thing. Most forms of therapy, in fact, incorporate elements of positive psychology. So it's a real thing and it works. However, I think that when we're talking about these type of issues, we have to acknowledge those elements as well. I think it needs to be broken down just a little bit more and focused more on mental, spiritual, world outside healing than just one's self. And coming back to the universe not revolving around us, it is important to acknowledge that you are not going to get everything you think you deserve. And most of the time, that's a good thing, because a lot of our desires are based in selfishness, greed, or in just things that are not good for us. Some of the affirmations I've been hearing, girl, I'm like, y'all are giving narcissism.
I always get special treatment. I am on the pedestal.
But I just think that if I don't ever get access to something, then it's not something that I deserved or needed. I don't think lucky girl syndrome or any other concept similar to it should be used to gain something. I think if you're going to take anything away from self-help, especially when it comes from the internet, it should be things that are applicable to your mindset, because the way your brain functions determines everything else that's going on outside of here. As you guys can see here, there's a lot of strong arguments on both sides for supporting lucky girl syndrome, not supporting lucky girl syndrome. But if I do find techniques and, affirmations that help me in my day-to-day life, I will absolutely use it. So, I think some people are going to use lucky girl syndrome to the best of their ability, and others probably not so much. These concepts are just being repackaged. There's nothing new or innovative here. Everything you need to know, you basically know on your own. You don't need a lucky girl syndrome explained to you to be able to understand these things, because there's psychology, there's professors. Basically, in short, there's better places to get mindset help from than TikTok. So let me know what you guys think about lucky girl syndrome in the comments down below. Most people, unfortunately, are going to have selfish, individualistic motives anyways. However, as long as it's not hurting myself or other people, I really don't care what people use positive psychology for. However, I am going to use positive psychology in my life to lead a low-stress, balanced, and healthy mentally and physically lifestyle without any expectations of external reward. I really enjoyed making this video. It is something that I am working on right now. As you guys know, probably if you've been on the channel for a while, and I'm sure if you've stuck to the end of the video, you already know this, but I have definitely been on this personal development journey because there are a lot of things going on in this brain right here. Music concepts, video concepts, clothes concepts, all types of concepts, and I'm tired of sitting on it. But let me know in the comments down below what type of videos you guys want to see from me, because I definitely want to start doing more things that have to do with the things that I love. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. It has been Tima, and I will see you guys on another video soon.